Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez has said some things that I think should be said by the leadership of the Democratic Party, but it's not being said. She's expressing some outrage at her fellow Democrats. This happened a few hours after Democratic lawmakers had warned that Elon Musk's takeover of federal agencies is, quote, what the beginning of a dictatorship looks like, end quote. I mean, who the hell made that statement? I'm sure it was some Democratic member of Congress. I don't know if it was a House member or a Senate member, but I mean, what a bullshit thing to say. The beginning of dictatorship looks like. Well, this is not a good time to start kicking ass on the Democratic Party, is it? But the fact remains, for me anyway, it's a fact, that the Democrats are just, I don't know, they're just allowing this to happen while Trump's bully boys roll over constitutional freedom, institutional organizations, and just stomp the shit out of them to their will. They don't care. They're just crushing everything. Well, the Democrats have vowed to take legislative action. And this was after the USAID was taken over, or they were barred from entering. Democrats were barred from entering the USAID office. So they're vowing to take legislative action, and they're going to launch legal challenges to stop what they're calling the South African Nazis' outrageous maneuver. And what pissed off AOC is these Democrats are acting as though a constitutional crisis isn't taking place. They're acting as though, well, you know, this son of a bitch did something we don't like, so we're going to pass some legislation, or we're going to go to the courts and blah, blah, blah. This is what Ocasio-Cortez said, quote, no Democrat should be voting to advance Trump's nominees, any of them, while all of this stuff is going on. She added, there has to be a political price to pay, and we have a responsibility as a party to block everything that is happening while they're setting a literal match to the federal government, end quote. Now, she put that together in a video, and she posted the video. And the video included an overview of what the South African Nazi is doing at the Treasury Department payment system, what he and his bully boys have done to U.S. Agency for International Development, and what this Nazi fucker is doing to cut billions in federal spending for social services so that the orange Nazi can extend the tax cuts he put into effect in 2017 for the rich that threw the country into even deeper debt. Now, the Senate, in the meantime, while Ocasio-Cortez was railing against her fellow Democrats, and she didn't put it this way, but what she's saying is, what the fuck is wrong with you people? Why are you confirming? Why are you voting? Why are you participating in a goddamn overthrow of the U.S. government? But that would be my question to the 75 million people who voted for this son of a bitch. But anyway, Ocasio-Cortez made her statement while the Senate was voting to confirm Chris Wright, who is a fracking company CEO, to be this country's new Secretary of Energy. Right. And some Democratic senators joined the Christian Nazis in supporting Chris Wright, which to me is, I don't know what the fuck these people are doing. They're voting in favor of further acceleration to climate change, climate disruption, global warming, mass death from heat-related illnesses. Democrat, you know who they are? Michael Bennet of Colorado. These are all senators. Ruben Gallego of Arizona. Maggie Hassan of New Hampshire. Martin Heinrich of New Mexico. Hickenlooper, Jesus Christ, of Colorado. Ben Ray Lujan of New Mexico. Jean Shaheen of New Hampshire. Angus King, independent, of Maine, who usually caucuses with the Democrats. These are Democrats, and Angus King, who voted to confirm the nomination of a fracking company CEO to be the next energy secretary. Now, does that seem insane to you at all, or ironic, or stupid, or more bullshit from the Democratic members of the Senate? And then they wonder why they are now in the minority in this in the Senate. Jesus Christ. So, in addition to, raising a little sand, you might say, as we say here in the South, raising a little sand over the South African Nazi seizure of USAID and the payment systems that contain personal data, mine and yours, of millions of people who get Social Security checks, Medicare, other payments and benefits from the government, in addition to making a little bit of a argument against it. What is he doing? The Democrats approve a nominee who has accused the Democratic Party of pushing for Soviet-style communism because the Democratic Party is trying to combat the climate emergency. And this crazy fucker, Chris Wright, has stated categorically, there is no climate crisis. That's a direct quote. So we had a handful of Democratic senators, 6, 7 of them, who said, yeah, I don't think there is either. Oh, Jesus Christ. So Ocasio-Cortez, the point she's trying to make is there's no reason for business as usual while the South African Nazi and co-president of the United States, who nobody voted for, is pushing this constitutional crisis, revolution, overthrow of the government, coup, call it what you want. But it's not legal. And Ocasio-Cortez said what the Democrat members of the House and the Senate should be doing is to make this Nazi fucker Donald Trump and this jumping jack idiot South African of his fight for every single step as they try to destroy the country, because that's what they're doing. And AOC pointed out, the slower they go, the less they can break. She added this, quote, we have to stop playing nice in the Senate and block every damn thing that we can. Do not give votes to the nominees. And she was referring there specifically to the nominee of this Chris Wright asshole who says, there's no climate crisis. What the fuck? Come on. So, falling back on a time-tested element of bullshit, as far as I'm concerned. I don't know. Maybe this works. Maybe it doesn't. This idea about call your senator and say they demand they vote against the nominees. That's what AOC is demanding now, that voters call our senators, demand that they vote against these nominees who still have to be confirmed, like this crazy brainworm fucker Robert Kennedy Jr., Pam Bondi, or has she already been confirmed? And Elise Stefanik, UN ambassador. And what about Ketchup Patel, who wants to head the FBI so he can burn it down? So I think all of us know that the Democrats don't have the numbers to block any of these nominees through a straight vote. What's the difference now? 47 Democrats and 53 Republicans. Can you fucking believe that? Can you believe, well, of course you can, that the Democratic Party going from a, what they have, one vote majority in the Senate to the point now where they have a 6-seat minority. And the American people, this is not, these new senators were not put into their positions as a result of a coup. They came into their positions as a result of voting. Now, granted, the voting rolls had been burned of tens of millions of votes, purged before this last election, especially in states that were considered toss-up or states that are run by these fucking little Nazi governors, these Christian fascist little governors. But still, to see the Democratic Party go from a 1-vote majority to a 7-vote minority is astonishing, especially when at the head of the ticket was a crazy fucking felon, a thug, a criminal, a rapist. And yet, tens of millions of Americans said, hey, I'm okay with that. I don't give a shit. So AOC is urging voters to call your senator, tell them not to vote. Shit. Are you kidding me? I mean, honest to God, who among us, with 2 or 3 exceptions in the Senate, who among us believes that a phone call to the Senate office building with a message for Senator XYZ, whatever, where the voter says, listen, I don't want you to vote for the confirmation of this fracking company owner. Who among us thinks that that is going to sway a senator? These Democrats who voted to confirm him, let's see, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 Democrats and 1 independent, Angus King. So 8 members of the Senate who are generally considered to be sane, to be at least partly righteous in what they're trying to do as senators, that they all decided no, they were going to be absolutely insane and vote to confirm this fucker. Well, but can you imagine those Democrats getting a phone call from their constituent, and the constituent saying, listen, I don't want you to vote for this crazy fucker, Chris Wright. Yeah, okay, will do. Bye. Hi, Truth Seekers. Mike Malloy here. You know, the Progressive Voices Network brings you commercial-free commentary from today's leading progressive radio hosts and pundits, like me, Mike Malloy, 24 hours a day. I'm not your typical old guy from the 80s or the 90s talk radio host, and Progressive Voices is not your typical talk radio network. It's a listener-supported nonprofit with no corporate control whatsoever over our broadcast. So hosts like me, Mike Malloy, are free to rant and scream and carry on about whatever we like. We're often controversial, but we're never boring. Weeknights, 9 p.m. in the East, 6 p.m. in the West on the Progressive Voices Network. Always progressive, always on. I'm Mike Malloy. Keep it lit.